Everyone's talking about the £117 million transfer fee, but no one's talking about what Morgan Rogers actually is. He's not a winger. He's not a number 10. He's a tactical cheat code. So let's analyse exactly why Chelsea were willing to break their transfer record to sign him. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room first. £117 million for Morgan Rogers. It's a lot of money. Have Chelsea overpaid? 100%. Morgan Rogers is not worth that. But this season, this summer window, we're seeing players are just going for inflated prices. It's just the market. Chelsea had to pay, and Chelsea have now got their man. Joe Shields should be very happy because now this is the 7th former Man City academy player he's signed for Chelsea since the takeover. And some of them have been big successes, the likes of Cole Palmer, but some of them have also been big flops, the likes of Liam Delap. Which way will Morgan Rogers go? Let's discuss. Now, the best way to really understand the areas of the pitch Morgan Rogers loves to operate in is to look at this graphic on the screen here. This graphic looks at where Morgan Rogers initiates and completes threatening actions. And you can see where his actions normally end. It's normally in that inside left channel. And that is so important, because it's given Xabi Alonso so much flexibility to do this now. And that is for Xabi Alonso to play the setup that brought him so much success at Bayer Leverkusen, the 3-4-3/3-4-2-1, whichever way you want to look at it. Now, Chelsea could potentially line up with a front three of João Pedro, Morgan Rogers, Cole Palmer. That is frightening. That is one of the best front threes in the league. I know a lot of people say Chelsea probably lack runners in behind. 100% a valid argument. But we saw it by Leverkusen. The width and runners normally came from the wing-backs, with Frimpong on one side, Grimaldo on the other. Now, Chelsea have been linked with wing-backs, especially on the left-hand side, and they probably do need someone else to replace Cucurella. But all of a sudden now, that Chelsea setup is looking very strong. Of course, listen, don't take the names on the screen too seriously. They're probably still going to sign another centre-back like Lacroix. It changes things up a little bit. But it also gives Xabi Alonso the flexibility now to move to a back four, and it'd be very efficient. And that is because Chelsea finally have the flexibility to play someone on the left-hand side that is going to come inside with real quality onto his right foot. Chelsea played Pedro Neto a lot down the left last year, someone that's left-footed. And they also played Garnacho, who, let's be honest, is being sold because of his lack of quality. So Morgan Rogers clearly improves that left side of the pitch massively. And all of a sudden now, Xabi Alonso has something to think about. And listen, it's scary for rival fans because Chelsea now have the flexibility to switch to back four and line up with something like this. A front row, João Pedro, Morgan Rogers, Cole Palmer, Esteval. It's scary. Of course, Chelsea, they're probably going to have to work on their midfield partnership. Is it going to be Caicedo and Enzo or Caicedo and James? Let's see. And of course, like I said before, they're going to sign someone probably at left back / left wing back. But all of a sudden now, the outlook that we have with Chelsea has completely changed with the Morgan Rogers signing. All of a sudden, the attack that Chelsea have been criticised a lot for last year is looking like one of the best attacks in the league. When this transfer fee got announced, I was watching Sky Sports and I saw Sky Sports trying to push this narrative that can Cole Palmer and Morgan Rogers play together. Now, listen, guys, that is one of the worst things I've ever heard because in my eyes, they complement each other so well. Cole Palmer probably has a bit more finesse about his game, a bit more passing ability, a bit less athleticism, whereas Morgan Rogers is a very powerful runner, someone with incredible ball striking from outside the box, someone with a lot of athleticism, someone that's just naturally made for the Premier League. Let's have a look at how they actually do compare though, because when we're looking at Morgan Rogers and Palmer's numbers from last year, it actually might surprise you. If we're looking at shots, Cole Palmer actually comes out on top, but it's important to take in and contextualize these numbers. Palmer plays for Chelsea. Chelsea are probably going to have a lot more, let's say, shots in front of goal than a team like Aston Villa, who are a bit more, let's say, defensively resolute, defensively set up compared to Unai Emery's Aston Villa. When we're looking at other numbers like dribbles, offensive duels, touches in the penalty area, Morgan Rogers comes out on top. But what really surprised me was when I compared the passing metrics between Cole Palmer and Morgan Rogers, because Morgan Rogers surprisingly comes out on top in a lot of categories. Crosses, through passes, assists, expected assists, passes to the penalty area, all categories that Morgan Rogers leads Cole Palmer by. But let's actually add some context into this. Cole Palmer was obviously not at his 100% best last year. He was struggling with injuries throughout the campaign. Let's see how he does next season now that he's fully fit, fully rested after being left out the World Cup squad. but this partnership is something that I do expect will be one of the best in the Premier League. Now, even though Morgan Rogers is not a £117 million player, in my eyes, he still has the X factor about him. Morgan Rogers, in my eyes, is one of the best ball strikers in the Premier League. You guys can see the numerous goals he scored last year from outside the box in the Premier League. You guys can see the shot. He's not afraid to shoot from outside the box. And sometimes when Chelsea were trying to break down a low block last year, they needed that extra bit of quality. They needed that something a bit more in the final third. Morgan Rogers will now provide that. When I was looking at Morgan Rogers' numbers, one thing that did surprise me was his ball progression numbers were not as strong as what the eye test made out. If you guys can see the graphic on the screen here, look at progressive carries and carries to the final third. Those are metrics that I thought Morgan Rogers will be massively shining in, which the numbers suggest otherwise. However, this could just be down to a volume thing at Aston Villa. He's probably getting less opportunity at times to carry the ball. But listen, we can see the eye test. Morgan Rogers is a powerful runner. In my eyes, that's still his best asset of his game alongside his ball striking capabilities. Now, let's talk about areas of his game that Morgan Rogers could improve in. The first of them being consistency. In my eyes, Morgan Rogers had periods of times for Aston Villa last season where he really struggled. There was a period where he scored 1 goal in 14 games. He's at Chelsea Football Club now. The pressure is higher. That probably won't be accepted. But listen, that's not the only area of his game that I think he has to work on. In my eyes, when I watch Morgan Rogers play, I do think at times he lacks that consistency in his final pass, in his final ball. At times it was very, very frustrating for Aston Villa last year. But listen, he's still only 23. He still has a lot of areas to improve in, and Xabi Alonso can hopefully help him reach his full potential. Chelsea, in my eyes, have got a brilliant signing. Forget the fee for a second. Enjoy the player because Morgan Rogers is top. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel because we will be back soon.